Ethan Nwaneri to Marseille. How close, Darmesh?
It is very close. It's all been agreed between the two clubs for Ethan Nwaneri to join Marseille on a straight loan until the end of the season. He is in Marseille as we speak. He's been having his medical and finalising that loan move. There is no permanent element attached to this deal, and that speaks of Arsenal seeing Ethan Nwaneri as part of their long-term plans. He had that breakthrough season last season when he was getting good game time, and I think he probably thought, I can push on this time, but Arsenal really went for it in the summer transfer window, and he's kind of found himself third in the pecking order on that right side behind Bukayo Saka and Noni Madueke as well. He's made 4 starts in all competitions, significantly has not started in the Premier League so far this season. There was lots of interest in this player from the Premier League and from some of the clubs in Europe's top 5 leagues. And I think Arsenal looked at every single option and saw Roberto De Zerbi and Marseille as probably the best location for him and to serve his long-term future the best. So I think it's a good move for all parties at this moment, for Arsenal, for Marseille, and particularly for Nwaneri. And I think if he can get good game time for the rest of this season, he'll come back a player who's had more action than he would have had he stayed at Arsenal, and then push again for next season.
Yeah, and playing in an attacking side as well. All right, there's breaking news in the last hour and an imminent arrival at Nottingham Forest. So, Darmesh, tell us about Lorenzo Luca.
Yeah, he's a Napoli striker. He only joined Napoli last summer. He's flying to England tonight, and we think he's going to have his medical tomorrow. The deal is a straight loan until the end of the season. He made 23 appearances in all competitions for Napoli this season. Only 6 starts though, and he scored 2 goals in that time. We do know that Nottingham Forest have been on the lookout for a striker. There was talk of Youssef El-Nesyri, the Morocco striker, and a couple of other players as well. We mentioned Jorgen Strand Larsen as well. But
I wanted to close, guys, with the many questions we are receiving for Julian Alvarez situation. Guys, I keep telling you, the future of Julian Alvarez is not a topic for January, it's a topic for the summer. But the future of Julian Alvarez remains very open. Remains a story to follow, because on one side Atletico Madrid want to keep the player and hope to keep the player, but on the other side there is the player side. There is the player, his agent, and obviously Julian Alvarez keeps his options open ahead of the summer. It's too early to mention clubs, because there will be many clubs interested in Julian Alvarez, eventually, if he can leave Atletico Madrid. But at this stage, the player is keeping his options open. Atletico want to keep Julian, but obviously the conversation with Julian will be important to understand if he can really stay or maybe he has to leave in the summer. So let's follow that situation. I keep telling you, since October, November, December, Julian at the moment is keeping all his options open for the future. So let's see how the conversation with Atletico Madrid will be. It's too early to start saying he will go to this club, he will go to the other club, because at the moment there is nothing concrete, nothing advanced. There are many calls from top clubs, that's for sure. Julian is one of the most wanted strikers around Europe. But in terms of calls, of meetings, it's not just one club. Many rumors on Barcelona and more. Barcelona for sure, but it's not only Barcelona. There are several clubs calling for Julian Alvarez, eventually. So this depends on what Atletico and Julian will decide in the next months. It's not a topic for now. Nothing will be decided in January, I think not even in February. So it's going to take some time and we will know more. Your thoughts on all these stories from Chelsea talents, and then Jeremy Jacquet story. Frank Kessie, I think a very interesting one. Which club should be all over this? And then Ndidi to Man United, you want him or not? And then Julian Alvarez, what should be his future? Which club? Atletico staying or maybe a new chapter? Sort of progress in the sense of advancing in conversations to sign the player or send an official bid. Man United didn't do anything at this stage, but again, Ndidi is offering himself. Then there is one more name to follow in the market, guys, eventually, and is Frank Kessie. Not for this January transfer window, but Frank Kessie is out of contract at Al Ahly in Saudi in the summer. Al Ahly have offered Frank Kessie a new contract, a short-term contract, but still on a big salary. So Al Ahly want to keep the player, but Frank Kessie is starting exploring options for the summer over potential free transfer. So keep an eye on Kessie, because the Ivorian midfielder could be open to a European return. So he has to decide, obviously, big money on the table from Al Ahly or go back to Europe on different salary. And there is a conversation ongoing with several clubs. His agent met with Juventus for the summer, again, it's not for January, for the summer. Juventus are interested in Frank Kessie for the summer transfer window, and so there was already a meeting with his agent. Let's see if also some Premier League club will start calling, because Kessie could be an opportunity again on a free in terms of transfer fee, and then obviously there is the salary, but this could be a situation to follow. And then I wanted to close, guys, with the many questions we are receiving for Julian Alvarez situation. Guys, I keep telling you, the future of Julian Alvarez, this is not a topic for January, it's a topic for the summer, but the future of Julian Alvarez remains very open. Remains a story to follow, because on one side Atletico Madrid want to keep the player and hope to keep the player, but on the other side there is the player side. There is the player, his agent, and obviously Julian Alvarez keeps his options open ahead of the summer. It's too early to mention clubs, because there will be many clubs interested in Julian Alvarez, eventually, if he can leave Atletico Madrid. But at this stage, the player is keeping his options open. Atletico want to keep